Alright, on this little demo video I'm going to show you how to base coat a variety of surfaces here. I'm showing you the best way to use them and different tools to use to base coat them. So let's get started on this, and I hope that you can pick up some tips that you can use in your day-to-day painting. Okay, so we're going to jump right in here to showing you how to base coat your surfaces. This will also give you some tips on prepping your surface. So I've got this box that I did a technique on the top of it, and this is a box that I bought at Hobby Lobby, raw wood. It's going to soak up everything that we put on it. So the first thing you want to do with boxes like this is to remove your hinges. Make sure your screwdriver fits. It's not too big for the screw head because they're brass, and if you get a screwdriver that's too big, then you are going to strip out the heads of the screws, and you'll have to get new screws to replace. These are very soft screws, so I'm just pinching the lid and the base together here so that I can keep this from dropping down and bending the hinge. So now, two things if you're worried about losing your screws or your hinges is you can get a little Ziploc baggie, put them in it, and tape it directly in front of you somewhere so you don't lose it. I have a little magnetic tray that you can buy at any place that sells tools, like Harbor Freight, Sears. I don't know if Walmart sells them or not. Okay, so now when I am base coating and prepping stuff, I like to use my old brushes because I don't want to damage my good brushes that I want to paint with. So with this raw wood, you must, I mean, there is no way around this ever. You must apply 1 to 2 coats of multi-purpose sealer to your surface. Now you can mix it in with your paint if you wish to, but and I do that on occasion, but my first coat I usually always try to make it just straight multi-purpose sealer. The second coat you can mix some paint in with it if you want to. It just kind of saves you a step, but I don't mind having the steps because it's going to make my surface, you know, the way that I need it to be. It's going to prepare it well for me. So there are different ways that you can paint this on here. You can paint it or apply it. You can apply it with a paintbrush, which is very quick. I like doing it that way if it's a small surface. Another way is an artist sponge. Dampen your sponge. So what I do is I fill it completely full of water in my water basin. Okay, then I squeeze out all of the water, all that excess water. I go over to my napkin and I squeeze it even more. Okay, I want to get all that juiciness out of there because I don't want water coming out in what I'm doing and making it runny. And so then you can just apply it with a sponge. This is super duper fast. Now with the raw wood, you're going to have to sand it after you get your multi-purpose sealer dry. You will feel it because there's moisture in it. It's going to make that grain in that wood just raise right up, and it's going to make it rough. So what the multi-purpose sealer does is it helps it seals the wood to keep the paint from soaking in, and it makes it where your paint will adhere to the wood and not soak in, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that to dry. Another way that you can apply it is with a roller, but I want to use the roller to show you how to apply your base coat. So I'm just going to very quickly apply a coat of multi-purpose sealer on this surface. Now this is masonite board, and it doesn't necessarily have a grain, so you don't have to put multi-purpose sealer on there, but it's a good habit to get into. It's going to help your paint stick to the surface, so you just want to get into that habit of applying multi-purpose sealer to your whole surface. Okay? Alright, so we've got our multi-purpose sealer on here. It will take just seconds to dry. Now I want to base coat this piece. It's a little rough. Just for demonstration purposes, I'm just going to apply one coat of, that side's not dry, of multi-purpose sealer. This side is dry, so I'm going to very lightly sand it. It's going to make it smooth. Don't forget to do your insides as well. With a sponge, I would apply it with a sponge in here and sand it very lightly when you're done. Wipe your sanding dust away. Okay, so we are going to base coat with a roller. Now you can base coat with a brush or a sponge. I only recommend using a brush when it's something small. Just because you don't get a smooth and you have to work the paint so much, and you want to get your surface base coated as quickly and as nicely as you can so that you can move on to the fun part of painting. So I have a small roller here. It's a 2-inch foam roller. Now when I bought this, it came with this tray from Lowe's. This was all together in a package for like $2.98, I think. They still have this. They still have this tray with the roller, but the handle is now plastic. It's not a good handle like this. But this is an excellent tray because when I paint, I lay my brushes in here that I've been using, so I know what brushes I'm using with my design work. Alright, so back to the roller. We want to dampen this as well, so I'm going to stick it down in the water and let it soak up. I don't want it to go down inside that roller, so I'm going to kind of just work it in there and push the water into the roller. And again, you want to squeeze out the excess water. Okay, I'll move this lid. And we've got our paint here, so we're going to load up our roller. I think I got some goobers in my paint here. It was the end of the bottle, so I'm sure there was. Alright, so with our masonite board, we're just going to roll it on here. I'm giving pressure to get the paint out of the roller onto the surface. Giving a good amount of pressure. I want to get it completely covered good. It probably will take 2 coats to get it covered as well as I would like it. So now that I've got it on there, I'm going to lessen the pressure on my roller and just go across it and smooth the paint out so I have no roller marks in my paint. It's just going to smooth it out so nicely. Okay, and then we'll let that dry and apply a second coat. And it will dry very quickly because the coat on it is very thin. We've not globbed it on there. I can go right to this surface and apply a coat on here and let it dry. We can get all these edges. I haven't put sealer on there, so I'm not going to do that edge, but see how smoothly that goes on with a roller? I mean, this is the best investment you will ever have. That and this sponge. Best investments ever. I mean, they will just speed up your base coating enormously. Alright, so now if you want to use a brush, this is what you need to do with your paint. Get a little bit of water in your brush and go to your paint and thin your paint down just a little bit. You don't want thick paint because it will just glob up on your surface. And when you're doing something like this, I start in the middle and I pull out to the edge. Start in the middle and pull out to the edge. All the way around it. And again, you'll need 2 coats. And then I take my brush and I very lightly go across it and smooth out so that I don't have any. I'm going to take the paint off my brush there, so I'm not just keeping to put paint down. So I've got my brush laid almost completely flat. This is flat, and I've got to tilt it up just a little bit so that the bristles are sliding across it more flat, and it's just smoothing out that paint nicely. Now when I come back with my second coat, I'll probably go this direction so that I make sure that I fill in any areas that didn't get filled in previously. Alright, one more thing, shape that I want to show you how to prep is this. Now when I did the center, I did it with this foam sponge here, and I just kind of got it like that, pinched it like that, and shoved it way down in there as far as I could, a little bit more with my fingers, and then I just had it where I could just barely hold on to the end of this, and I just swirled and swirled and swirled and swirled it down in the bottom. I don't know, you can see down in there I didn't get all the way down into the very tip of it, but I was okay with that because it was going to be something that I did like this. But if you're not okay with it, you can take a piece of foam like from this and wrap it around a dowel rod, kind of tape it on there. Let's see if I have a dowel rod. So just take a piece of your sponge, wrap it around here. I don't want to cut this sponge up, but you would wrap it around here and tape it off down here. Then you can load your paint on the end of that and really shove it down into the tip of that cone. So dowel rods, good thing to have in your paint room. So for this piece right here, what I do is let me get a little bit more paint out here. I stick my hand into it. I've got my dampened sponge, which the sponge has some multi-purpose sealer in it, but that's okay. So I'm just going to take my sponge and I'm widening out my hand in here so I can hold this tight. I just don't have it, you know, loosely stuck in there because I need to be able to turn it, but I need to hold it as tight as I can too. So I've kind of opened up my hand inside the cone, and now I'm just applying the paint on here. If you don't want to get paint on you, then wear some gloves. I'm not really that careful of a base coater. It doesn't matter to me if I've got paint on me. So just all the way around. Okay, I'm going to turn it by holding the end of it with the sponge and putting my hand on the edge and just turning it around. And then just finish up your base coating. And then smooth it out. You'll want to let it dry and apply a second coat. So then I just set it right there to dry, just like that. Very easy peasy. Now if you wanted to paint this with a sponge, super easy. I think sponges and rollers get the paint on there so fast. So I'm just kind of swirling it on there, working it into the surface, and then again, I'm going to go across and smooth it out. You'll want to do your edges too, so don't forget those. Sponges are excellent for painting the edges. So I always do my edges with the sponge, and then I come back out and smooth where my finger was there in the center. Okay, so then we've got that. Double check, make sure you haven't oozed any around the side, but with the sponge and with very, very little paint in that sponge, you can do those edges so quickly and not get paint everywhere. Edges used to be the hardest for me because I'd get a little brush and I'd try to just paint that edge so carefully, and no matter how carefully I did it, I always made such a huge mess. Sponges, artist sponges, are your friend. So I think that's pretty much got me showing you how to do some base coats. Go along this edge and do it. And then I will apply, this is dry now, so I'll apply a second coat on here. And these kind of surfaces here, these plaques, they are a wonderful surface to use in a dual way. So you can now paint the other side a completely different color, and then you can put a whole different pattern on this side. So if you want to hang it on your front door, let's say you want to put winter on this side, so then you could put fall or summer on this side. You know, I'd get a couple of plaques and do spring and summer on one and fall and winter on one, and then you can just reverse them. And they just make an excellent, excellent surface to paint with. Okay, so that is my very quick video of just simple base coating tips. I'm sure after I get done with this video and get it up for you on YouTube that I will think of other things. But I'm going to be doing many videos for 2018, like I said before. And they're going to be educational, teaching you how to do basic things and how to use your tools in certain ways. And you know, there's a lot of people on limited budgets, so I want to be able to show them how they can do things and not break the bank trying to paint something nice, because you really don't have to. If you've got a few basic things in your supply, like a artist sponge or a 2-inch foam roller, you could just base coat all day and just get so many things prepped and ready for you to add a pattern and design onto. I do that a lot. I will pick out a bunch of surfaces, I pick out the design that I want to go on each surface, then I spend the day base coating each one of those surfaces to go with that design. Then when I'm ready to paint, my surface is ready to go, my pattern's on, I just got to sit down and paint. So I highly recommend that you get in the habit of doing that, because it really will be helpful, and you will be surprised how much you can accomplish in a day base coating. You probably will have to have like an extra card table or someplace. I usually have them all around my studios laying on something, drying, you know, and by the time I get to the last one that I'm prepping, the first one is dry, so I can go back and put the second coat on it. It's good to have several of these 2-inch rollers, which you can buy at Lowe's, on hand, so if you're doing different colors, you don't have to go wash it out and then come back, and just pop this off and stick it in a Ziploc bag until you're ready to use it for the next one. The same with this. You can drop it down in a Ziploc bag to use for the next time, or these rinse out really fast. You can go rinse it out, and you know, just have several of these around. They're very, very affordable. I do sell these on my website, so you know, you can pick these up just about anywhere. But I try to only sell the things on my website that I really use on a day-to-day basis when I am painting. So I hope these tips were very helpful for you, and let me know, give me some feedback, anything that you would like to see me show you how to do, or any tool you would like to know how to use properly, or maybe in a different way. Drop me a note below this video, and I will definitely look into bringing some of those videos to you as well. So thank you so much for joining me with this today's tip, and give me a thumbs up if you like the video, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. I appreciate every one of you. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys on the next one.